the state police in the domestic violence case involving the governor's staff. There is, of course, a clear need for reforms at the state level, but the circumstances also raise questions about the adequacy of current protections for victims of domestic violence in New York City. New York City has come a long way in the fight against domestic violence, but we still have work to do to ensure adequate protection of domestic violence victims. The situation we have read about this last week suggests a need for tighter coordination between the courts and the police to ensure protection of victims of domestic violence. Victims who opt for service of orders of protection by law enforcement should not have to go to the police precinct in person to assure service. The court should automatically and immediately transmit protective orders to the police. And advocates and my colleagues here today have known for a long time and worked hard that we needed to make our system better. Today we have an unfortunate circumstance surrounding the governor, but it's incumbent upon us to shine a light on this issue and make sure that there's real reform in the way we support victims of domestic violence. I want to note up front that people standing here today have different opinions on the situation with the governor. But what unites us all is a belief that we need a full examination of how the city of New York and the court system is handling victims of domestic violence to look for ways to do better. Despite all the political back and forth, the core issue has come up is the order of protection and how difficult it is for many women in need to get. So this is what we know so far. We know that there was a complaint of domestic violence in this particular case. We don't know yet how the police followed up specifically and what charges were carried forward. We know that the victim sought an order of protection in family court. We also know she had tremendous difficulty serving that order and getting it to take effect. We know the victim said in a formal court proceeding that the state police came to her door to discourage her. And yet there's no evidence of any follow-up from the court system when that outrageous information came forward. And we all feel tremendous sorrow for what this victim has gone through, and even more, I have to say, because her name and photo have been published, which is additionally troubling. So this is an opportunity to address these issues. This tragedy also gives us an opportunity to look at what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong and to act on these issues. And we want to particularly examine the police and the court responses and make sure that anything that was not done right in this case is acted on and that the practice and the policies are improved upon. Finally, these are the questions we're going to raise and that we need answers on. What criteria do police follow when they investigate domestic violence cases? What steps do victims have to take to obtain an order of protection, and how difficult is that? What kind of changes in law enforcement and court practice will make it easier to serve protective orders? And what are the protocols for responding to victims who claim they've been pressured not to pursue orders of protection? Those are the issues that we're going to be following up on in the coming days and weeks. I'd like to bring forward some of the leading advocates in this city for women and particularly in defense of victims of domestic violence. First, I'd like to bring up Sonia Osorio, the Executive Director of the National Organization for Women in New York.
Thank you so much. And thank you all for being here. I wish it were a happier circumstance. As the public advocate said, this is an opportunity for us to take a look at the failings in the system. The one thing that we do know is that at every turn, the process failed this victim. We started with her attacker wasn't arrested. Then the state police alluded to intimidate her. And then the judge whom she turned to for help did nothing. There clearly needs a lot of investigation into this case,